Okay, kiddos, today we're going to go over the examples on combining like terms and more distribution. So with combining like terms, remember the thing that you're looking for is the same variable and the same exponent. So for this first example, we have 3 terms and they all have an a in common. And it's a to the first power. So really this is just addition and subtraction. All we're doing is we're combining the coefficients, so the numbers in front. So if I take 14 and then I take away 5 of those, that leaves me with positive 9. And if I add 3 more, that gives me 12. So altogether I have 12 a's. Really straightforward on that. Okay, the next problem, a little more complicated because we have multiple letters. So I'm just going to go in order and I'm going to organize what I see based on like terms. So for all the y's, I'm going to underline those. So 7y, negative 3y, that's all the y's. For my regular constant terms, my numbers, I'm going to circle those. Okay, so I got the 8 and I got the 10. Make sure that you get the sign as well, the positive sign, so we know it's positive. And then with the x's, I'm going to put those into rectangles. So again, make sure you get the sign. So like this one, I make sure the negative is in there with the 2x. And then I have the positive 9x. Okay. Now this is just like a visual cue to let me know what I'm putting together. So I'm going to go in alphabetical order. I always like to put my x's first. So I have negative 2 and then positive 9, tug of war. 9 is going to win that battle because there's more of them. So that's going to be a positive 7x. Then I'm going to do my y values. I have 7 here, and I'm taking 3 of those away. So that's going to be a positive 4y. And then I'm going to do my constant terms. I have 8 and 10. They're both positive, so that's going to give me 18. Now remember, we cannot combine these together because the x's, the y's, and the numbers are not like terms, so that's my final answer. Okay, there you go. Last one, we have x's, but we have 2 versions. We have x squared and we have x to the first power, and then we have our constant terms. So again, I'm going to go through, I'm going to underline all the things that look like x squared. I'm going to circle all the things that look like x. And then I'm going to put a box around my constant terms. These are just the symbols I usually use. You can use whatever you want. You could even color code them, highlighter, marker, whatever you want to do. But I use symbols like this because it's very visual. I can see right away that underline goes with underline, box goes with box, circle goes with circle. So I have 5x squared, that's going to go first. And then I have 4x squared, so 5 and 4 together, they're both positive. That makes 9x squared. Okay, and then I have negative 3x and positive 10x, so tug of war. There's more positive, so that's going to be positive 7x. And then I have a negative 3 and a negative 9. That's going to make a big pile of negatives. They go together to make negative 12. Okay, and that's all the combining like term stuff that we need. So now we're going to move down and we're going to go over our more advanced distribution. So for problems like this, we always want to think about not only distribution and combining like terms, but also order of operations. So for example, on the first problem, when I see the 7 and the 3, what I don't want to do is I don't want to add those together because order of operations says that I'm going to do the multiplication part first. So I'm actually going to distribute first, and then I'm going to come back to that 7 and deal with that later. Okay, so I'm just going to write this down so I don't forget it, and then I'm going to distribute. So in my head, this is what I'm doing, 3 times x and 3 times negative 5. So that's what's going on in my head. So 3 times x is 3x. I'm following my arrows. 3 times negative 5 is negative 15. And now we have to deal with combining like terms. I have an x here, and that's the only x in the problem. So I can go ahead and write that down, 3x. And then I have my like terms, which are the 2 constants. I have 7 and take away 15, 7, negative 15, tug of war. 15 is much bigger, so the answer is going to be negative. If I have 15 and 7, I combine those together, that gives me negative 8. Okay, and that's going to be my final answer. Now remember, you can't put 3x and 8 together because they're not like terms. Next problem, I have my distribution first, which is actually going to make this a lot easier. And then I'll deal with that negative 15 at the end. So I distribute negative 3 times 4x is going to be negative 12x. I'm multiplying those together. And then I have negative 3 times negative 6. That gives me positive 18. And this negative 15 just tags along. Now I'm going to combine like terms. I have the negative 12x, which is definitely just going to stay on its own because there's nothing combined with it. And then I have my positive 18 and negative 15. Tug of war, 18 is bigger, so the answer is going to be positive. If I have 18 and take away 15, I have positive 3. Okay, and that's going to be my final answer because I can't combine those together. The next two examples, I have double distribution. So don't get confused about looking at this whole problem as one big thing. We're just going to take it one step at a time. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to distribute the 4. Okay, I'm going to deal with that first, not even worrying about the other part. So 4 times 2x, that gives us 8x. And then 4 times 3, that's going to give us positive 12. Now that I've taken care of that, I'm going to move on to the second piece. Okay. So I have positive 5 times x, that's going to be positive 5x. And then I have positive 5 times negative 3. A positive times a negative makes negative 15. And now that I have all of my distribution taken care of, I'm going to combine like terms. So I'm going to put these x's together. I have 8 plus 5. That's going to give me a positive 13x. And then I have my positive 12 and my negative 15. So tug of war, 15 is bigger. There's more negatives, so the answer is going to be negative 3. Okay. Now, for our last problem, it's very similar to the one we just did. We just got to be careful because we're distributing negatives. So I have negative 2 times 5x and negative 2 times 4. So I'm going to deal with that first. That's going to give me negative 10x, multiplying those together. Negative 2 times positive 4 gives me negative 8. Okay. Now that I have the first one done, I'm going to distribute, and I'm not going to ignore the negative here. I'm distributing negative 3. So negative 3 times negative x, and negative times a negative makes a positive 3x. Then I have negative 3 times negative 2. Again, a negative times a negative gives me positive 6. And now I just combine like terms. So I have my x's that I'm combining together. I have negative 10 and positive 3. Tug of war says there's more negatives, so those are going to win. So the answer is negative 7x. And then I have a negative 8 and a negative 6. And again, tug of war. If I have more negatives, negative 8, positive 6, that's negative 2. And that is the final answer for this problem. Okay.